Does that make it kind of weird at conventions? When,
It
like,
does.
Someone kind of comes up to you and like, I loved it when you said this thing and this part of this scene.
Yeah.
And you're like, I said that?
Well, I do say that. The harder part is when they want me to mirror stuff back to them from games or from shows that they've memorized. And, you know, people that go to the conventions are passionate about this stuff, and they live and breathe it and memorize this stuff. And I have no idea what they're talking about half the time. Sometimes I don't even know the title of the show I've worked on. And, you know, we're signing these non-disclosure agreements, and sometimes they haven't even finalized a title, so I don't even know what I'm working on until after it comes out. And I won't have any information on it until the fans tell me. So I actually rely on them, and they've really become much more accepting of that over the years. They weren't so much so in the beginning. And
I can imagine they get really upset.
they got really upset, and they thought that I didn't care enough about it and whatever. But it's, you know, I'm working a different show, sometimes 3 shows in a day, so it's really hard for me to juggle all that in my head and keep any of it there. I just have to be able to move on.
You probably wouldn't be able to stay sane, too, if you had to live with all that stuff in your head.
Oh, no, I'm schizophrenic enough, and having to have those characters, you know, stuck in there trying to bust their way out all the time would make my head explode, I think, at some point.
Before we move on to talking a little bit more specifically about MadWorld,
Yeah.
This is something kind of I notice that guys do a lot,
Yeah.
even if they're not voice actors, but guys tend to, like, talk to themselves in voices sometimes around the house.
Oh, yeah.
Do you ever do that?
I do that all the time, and I get caught all the time.
Do you go for like just original voices that kind of pop into your head, or are you doing voices of characters that you've done?
For me, I think it's just that I have so much going on all the time that I'm actually having conversations with myself, and not necessarily in character voices, but just conversations, just trying to work out stuff in my head that I don't have time to sit down and work out on paper or whatever. It can be about bills. It can be about, you know, what I'm going to have for lunch, and sometimes I'll just pop into a character, and it just happens to come out, and I don't even notice that I'm doing it until somebody points it out for me. And I have a lot of people in my life that like to do that. So.
And when they point it out, how's that conversation usually go?
Well, it depends on who it is. My girlfriend is pretty brutal. So she goes, "You dumbass," you know. That kind of reaction is what I get a lot from her. If it's kids or if it's my family members, they just kind of, you know, give me sort of a funny look, or they laugh along with me, or, you know, I'll just launch into something else, and it just becomes something from there. But around the house, I have a really kind of quiet lifestyle in the house, and it's just pretty much me and my girlfriend most of the time, and she'll pretty much say, "You're doing it again, you idiot." So
can do what I do is I try to play a lot of games at home, just to kind of stay up on my work stuff.
Yeah.
And if my girlfriend complains, well, this is work, honey. This is work.
Yeah. Well, it is. It's. I mean,
I used to get away with it.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I'm able to keep going the way I'm going, and she understands it. She's the one that keeps me humble. She's the one that keeps me down to earth, and she goes to conventions with me, and you know, after being in that environment where we become kind of pseudo celebrities for 2 or 3 days, I'm brought right back down to earth by, you know, one snappy comment from her, and it's like, oh, okay, this is where my real life lies.
Although that kind of stuff is fun, though, isn't it?
It's great. It's really great. Yeah. I mean, I'm living in a fantasy world for a good portion of my life. When I'm in the studio, I'm becoming these crazy characters, and I get to act out all of these impulses that I can't do in the real world, and that's amazing. And then going to a convention and being amongst 50,000 people that are in costume and living out these fantasies within the real world. It's surreal. It's crazy. But it's really, really fun. It's like going to the circus. It's like living in the circus.
So, speaking of crazy impulses and things you can't do in the real world, you played Jack in MadWorld for us.
Yeah.
Rules. Is there any rule here but kill or be killed? Look, if wasting a few doctors is gonna up my pay, I'm happy to do it.
I think that your Jack was awesome.
Oh, thanks,
like, it
man.
really brought the Jack that was on the page to life.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
How was it working with the director, Jack Fletcher? You've told me previously that you've worked with him before, and he's done tons of games. Mm-hmm. What's he like as a director? Like, how did he bring Jack out of you?
I love Jack. He's just a really understated expert at what he does. He doesn't really need to say that much. I mean, I've worked with him enough where he can kind of give me an inclination of what he's going for, and it just sets right in. It really doesn't take a whole lot. I would say my sessions with him are easy. It's just a very organic process working with him. He's just so knowledgeable. He reads up on the projects. He knows what's going on, and he's got a very clear, concise directorial style. And so it's just an easy, simple thing to do with him.